Here we go.
You got to turn yourself off mute, Lockie, just so you know. Google Meets will mute you.
Lockie, maybe leave yourself on mute, mate.
How does that work? Can you fellas hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. How are you?
Perfectly.
Hello, everybody. Geez, that worked very efficiently.
Well,
Nicely done, Viv.
Here we go. Talking about a man who takes things to the extreme. Here comes Lockie sitting there with his, his pro mic sitting up there on his on what I'm sure is a Rode PSA 1 boom mic.
48
boom
foot
sound.
bloody.
It actually is a Rode PSA 1. Look, the Rode tag. I can't get the Rode tag in frame to prove it. You'll have to take my word for it.
Is that the golden one from John Laws's radio station?
Not quite. So what are we all painting today? How's the stream been going so far? How long have you been going for?
It's been great fun. We've been on since 10, and it kind of feels like a little bit longer, but then I look at the time and I'm like, fuck, we got back-to-back guests for a little while, and then,
many hours to go.
We just at the beginning.
I should probably hey, Viv, can you message me a link so that I can share this, so I can tell people that I'm live on my little hobby page.
100%.
And maybe do a scoreboard update too while we're there.
Oh yeah, I need to put up the. I accidentally deleted Lockie last night, 10:30, just before I was going to bed. My entire scene collection in OBS.
Classic. And been there.
All my graphics, everything gone. The chatbot doesn't seem to be working. Everything we tested during the week is like, fuck. All right, well, I guess we're going live tomorrow with everything untested.
That's right. That's the way to live. I do that every second Monday.
It's been crazy. So yeah, Jacob was just on here, having a quick chat to him. Jacob, you're very welcome to hang around on the stream with us. Thank you so much.
Heckle Lockie if you want.
I just need to make sure Lockie pumps up Middle Earth more than I did.
I think I can do that. I'm painting Middle Earth right now. I don't see you painting, Jacob.
No, look, it was too hard. We've got just the back of my wall, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, high quality backdrop.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Where's your Cities of Death layout, complete with word bearers and ultramarines
with working elevator? Very nice.
Yeah, that's what just before you came on, just as you were coming on, Lockie, we were saying, here comes a man who's taken the monetization of his hobby to the extreme. And look, right behind you there, that's what needs to be done, man. It is an absolutely crazy set. It is an absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's coming along. It's got paint on it now. Finally, the cities. That's what I've literally been editing all morning. Is the first painting tutorial. So color, no more grey. Well, there's still lots of grey because it's the grimdark universe.
So it's grimdark.
Exactly. It's dark grey, and there's a bit of color. There's a bit of brown and muted red. That's about it.
Oh yeah, sure.
But it's not all grey now.
I better send you.
That does look like a lot of surface area to cover with a brush.
Yep. This was the breaking of my airbrush virginity.
Nice.
Finally took the plunge. I've been terrified of airbrushes ever since I knew they existed.
They are terrifying.
All my mates are like, just get one, it'll be fine. And everyone else is like, it'll clog 100 times. And both of those things happened. It was fine, and it did clog 100 times. But no, they're all saying.
The more it clogs, the more you learn about your airbrush.
Exactly. I was like, I seriously felt like I was like a Space Marine pulling apart his bolt gun or something. I've got this thing, I'm like cleaning all the bits with the little brushes, like ready to go to war against the models I'm painting. It was awesome until I had to do it 50 times in like 5 minutes. But anyway, it's good now.
The killer for me was I've been using the same airbrush for 6 years now and clean it really well, thought I knew it in and out. And then as I was priming these French for this stream, getting these weird things happening with blockages in parts of the brush I'd never found before. And I pulled it apart again and shone a light right down the arse of it. I was like, oh my God, there's an O-ring just absolutely coated in paint that I'd never seen before.
Now it turns out it's finally hit the threshold.
Exactly. It was absolutely, and then as soon as I freed it up, I was like, oh my God, it's like a new airbrush again.
Yeah.
So don't stress.
I had an airbrush I was cleaning once, and it was blocked. It wasn't working, so I thought I'll strip it apart and clean it. And
was this our last hobby catch up, Viv?
No. This was one of the airbrushes in that box that I found of airbrushes that didn't work. And it didn't work because as I was cleaning it, I could feel this kind of resistance inside the airbrush. and I thought, oh, there's so much clogged paint in there. So I got a piece of wire and shoved it in there so I could try and scrape, that, blockage out. And it wasn't a blockage. It was a O-ring inside there that keeps the needle and the back part of the well, in place. And, and by digging that out with the piece of wire, made the airbrush totally, screwed.
Broken.
I couldn't use it again, and it was a component that I couldn't get access to otherwise. Obviously,
this is the thing, right? I've heard it's like spare parts. Have somewhere that's easy to source spare parts. That's like a huge problem. And so I was like, I'll see if there's an Australian airbrush, and I was like, that'll never happen. And there is.
Is there?
There's a company called Scale Modeling Supplies. They're based in Ballarat.
SMS,
Yeah. And I messaged them and I was like, dude, send me that airbrush. And they sent me up the Dragon Air, and it's wicked. And on their site, it's like if you break a needle, if you lose a seal, or insert names of more things I don't know the names of, you just buy them straight away. You don't have to worry about getting it from overseas, especially at the moment. So I was like, dude, that's awesome. And of course, buy local. So yeah, Aussie airbrush, here we go. And she's awesome so far.
You've piqued my interest.
But yeah, both of my badges
Get
are
on
a
it,
little bit
Jakey. You'd
screwed
love
at the
it.
moment.
So going, what is it again? SMS?
Yeah, scalemodellingsupplies.com.au, I think they are. But the SMS Dragon Air is the one that I think they've only got the one model of the gravity fed dual action.
Yep.
See, look at me, I know all the words now. I watched 3 videos on YouTube.
I'm just concerned that now you don't have the ghetto wet palette and now you get an airbrush.
Yeah, look at this. Look at this thing. No more Tupperware.
Sorry, who are you and what have you done with Lockie? Next minute you'll have like a really professionally built elevator in the next set that you've wired up from absolute scratch yourself.
No, that'll never happen.
Weld-in metal struts so that the whole thing is built like a brick shithouse.
I originally wanted to do metal struts down the sides to make that elevator shaft stable, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to try doing this with fishing wire and see if it works first, because I really don't want to go to all that effort, and it kind of worked. But yeah, it goes pretty well now.
That's the great thing about that, though, is it gives you the feeling that it's supposed to be there, but it's still like rickety and a little bit broken, and
well, I mean, it's in the middle of a war zone. Any dodginess it's battle damage.
It looks great. It really does look great.
Oh right, I need to post.
I've sent you the link, Lockie.
Yep, beauty.
I really have picked the wrong force for this, Viv. Why did I choose French?
Just, bit by bit, mate. Bit by bit, you'll get there.
There's so many gorgeous details.
It's all right. Flat flesh and a wash, mate, and you'll be fine.
Flat flesh and a wash, not my seven stages for painting skin.
Just spray paint it blue and then army tone. Done.
Yeah.
Oh,
simple.
Oh, I'm crying inside, JP. Why would you do that to me? Oh, Jesus.
I mean, I wouldn't do it. I'm just suggesting if you're in that much pain.
You saw the first one and got scared. That's the problem.
Nope.
Elster Nation here in the chat says that he's still here. So it's the wrong time for him to be here.
It's early or late there.
It's the wrong time. I don't know if
it's the wrong time.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a timer, but yeah, Elston's in the UK. He was saying I couldn't agree more about the Blood Bowl opinion. It's quite possibly one of Games Workshop's best games.
It's actually one of their few games that have actually won one of the Euro awards for best design game.
Oh wow!
So it's actually taken home a few chocolates over the years from different board game awards in Europe.
Yeah, well,
and and foreign Europeans are around Euro games and their view on board games. It's one of few awards.
So it's a miracle they haven't stuffed it up.
Dry brushing 90 figures. I'm on the second.
That's true.
I'm on the second layer, and I've just found one figure that I didn't start the dry brushing on. And actually, I dry brushed the tip of his weapon and then just didn't do anything else on him. Which means
you ever find that though? Like you're working
back
a
a
match and you'll come back and you'll go, oh shit, that one's got none of the.
100%. I've already done it on this.
I've moved on.
So frustrating. Gil Edgar, either Gil or Jill. I'm sorry, I know I butchered that. Good morning from Sweden. How are things over there? Thanks for tuning in.
Morning, Edgar. Thank you for coming along.
Morning.
JL says, airbrush clogging. he goes on to say that SMS Dragon airbrush is awesome. Best one I've owned. That's
Nice.
interesting.
Mhm.
They're in Ballarat, says Nathan Shaw. They're in Ballarat. Ballarat?
Yeah,
or
I think that's
Bendigo?
what I said. Maybe I said Bendigo. I meant
said
Ballarat.
No, you said
Ballarat.
Ballarat.
Good.
Oh, you did say
Yeah.
Ballarat? Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
So they have 2 models. Ken Murphy says they have 2 models of airbrushes. And they've got a good range of paints, says Darren. Have a look at their paints.
Yeah, so their paints are interesting. They're acrylic lacquers.
Yep.
So I have no idea what that means. I presume that still means that they're water soluble because they're acrylic.
It's an acrylic.
Says Lockie as he
And
puts
that's
his
good
mouth
too.
out.
Just say it with confidence in this league.
Yeah, that's right.
They say they use
I,
acrylic lacquers.
I don't know. Yeah, I opened them. I played with them for like 1 second, and I was like, "This is really cool." I really liked the finish. And I was like, but it didn't smell like acrylics. It had like an almost oily enamel smell, and I was like, I have no idea what the solvent should be for this. So I just put the lid on and put it back on the shelf, and I'll use it in the next video. But they've got a really nice coverage because they're like as thin as an ink with like the coverage of an opaque acrylic. It's really cool. They're like designed for airbrushes, I think.
Amazing.
Cool.
I was, the Duncan Rhodes has his Kickstarter running at the moment for his paint range, and I noticed there was another one running as well on Kickstarter. I said to Ed, a week and a half ago, I wonder how many people jumped ship from that one across to Duncan's range. But I asked Ed, are you interested in getting these paints? And Ed said, no, I've got enough paints already. This stripe brush is 100% hard because I totally forgot to wash it.
You say that, but SMS will tempt me because that sounds lovely. Like that's the one thing I find with airbrushing is, even with Vallejo's air range, there are still really big discrepancies between
Huge
paint in that range.
Yeah. I've noticed that just in the last week, like the viscosities and amongst the air range with those enamels, they seem to be really consistent from the supply I've tested.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And they're up the road. For us in Melbourne, that is lucky. So that's really advantageous because you've got less chance of things getting screwed over by temperature variance.
Yep, that's true too.
Which does play a big part. I remember a bunch of people lost their collective minds because their Stynylrez res was left out in the cold in the US when Amazon delivered it. And Stynylrez res is, I think, one of the best primers you can get for an airbrush. It's got this incredible quality of sucking back in and going really tight against the model. It's even scratch resistant on metal models. But if it gets really cold, goes really weird and separates. So all these people have these big bloody 1 liter, or probably, I don't know, what is in the US? It'd be, I guess,
a quart.
Gallon.
A hogshead.
a quart or something. Yeah, not a gallon. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, a gallon of Stynylrez.
A couple of oil drums out the front. Yeah. And yeah, the poor bastards had this massive issue where Badger was having to recall all this stuff because the delivery drivers hadn't read the labels and just left them out in the cold. And spoiled like so much stock. So yeah, I'm always a bit worried that might happen to any of the other stuff, but acrylics are mostly okay, so it's not really an issue.
Ken Murphy in the chat says no, they aren't water soluble. I'm assuming that's for the SMS paints.
Yeah, so they must have their own solvent. That's why I stopped using them because I couldn't work that out yet, and I was like, I'll just stick with Vallejo Air for now. So I don't know, maybe they have their own brand thinner. That's what it is. So they must.
Yeah,
I needed that. That's why I stopped.
He's gone on to post to say that SMS have a video on what the difference is about what lacquer acrylics are, as there are three different types of lacquer acrylics.
Cool.
About to watch a 4th video, Lockie.
Yeah.
And John Anderson says that he loves those paints. Yeah, it'd be
You
interesting
don't
to
want
try
to
them
learn
out.
too much though.
Yeah, that's it. The information overload's a bit real. Hey, Jake, you're like when I bet it's the same with you with like when you're diving into 3D printing. It's like, whoa, all right then.
Well, that's completely unrelated. There's so many videos on the internet that are like 20 minutes long of how to set up your 3D printer. Like, don't listen to any of that stuff. Just like do the basics and it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked at how do I level my plate. I've literally only done 2 print runs so far because mine's outside in a small bungalow with no heating. Resin gets really thick really quickly once you get under 20 degrees. But yeah, it was just like I got overwhelmed. I didn't know where to start. Like I thought Napoleonics was dense to jump into, but 3D printing was bloody terrifying. You hear all these stories of, if you do this wrong, you'll stuff your printer. If you do this wrong, you stuff your printer. Nah, it's all fine. Level your plate. Learn how to do that. Get some basic. I got some pugs with Cadian helmets on them as my test print. That was a genius idea because they look bloody adorable, and they worked. But yeah, I think you're right. You just need to shut up and do it, don't you?
Yeah, I think part of it is that if your video
Okay
was
to
just
fail.
about the information, it'd be 30 seconds long. But you need to inflate it. That might be
Hey,
it.
what's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Got some sick stuff to 3D print. We're gonna go through a shopping list first. Suddenly, you're doing a trip to bloody Walmart. I just want to find out how you print things.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was gonna use some examples from Lockie's stuff there, but that's 15 because he's with us right now.
I don't think I've started with "Hey guys" in quite a while.
No, you haven't. I know. That's why I'm not.
What about, what's up, guys? It's your boy, Zorpazorp.
It's your boy. I did love. I always found it really funny how Luke from Geek Gaming is always like, "How do guys?" And I was like, "Oh, that's really unique." But it's actually local to his area.
Yeah.
Because I love my darts, and one of the guys I follow is a bloke called Matthew Edgar. And he always starts with, "How do guys? Welcome back to Edgar TV Darts." And I'm like, "Oh my god, it's a thing!"
Yeah. He's not original.
No, he's not original at all. It's gold.
I don't think anyone can beat Marco Frassoni for his intros. It's just the accent sells it.
What's his
and
again?
Marco's like a god, so
Hello,
he wants.
guys.
That's right.
He's just the best.
I ducked
And
out for a second. Sorry.
Night Shift is great as well. He's so funny when he's like, I was trying to make sure I do the thing with the phone, but I just had to hack it in the end with my saw. Like, what are you talking about? He's really cool though. His stuff is awesome. If you ever want like scale modeling tips, he's a fun one to watch as well.
It's crazy how big the sort of hobby community is getting now, with like in terms of content creators. There's new names popping up every day. It's really cool. Heaps of people. I guess the hobby's moving more and more like mainstream in a way in certain aspects too. So it's getting popular, more popular.
Arts and crafts has gone crazy in the last couple of years around the world because of all the uncertainty of what's going on, and you see just time and time again people talking about, well, I used to play Warhammer when I was a kid, and I got back into it because of lockdown, especially in the UK. So that's definitely driven a huge number of people back into the hobby, and also a lot of them have a lot more money now than when they were a pimply 15-year-old trying to use their money from their part-time job. But yeah, it's pretty
part
cool.
Of the nostalgia industry that's really ramped up as well. Like there's so many man children with disposable income.
Hello.
Perfect for
selling.
Well, when my friends found out that I was getting into Napoleonics, they just said, "Oh my god, you're going to be a father in Feb, but you've decided to just go straight to being a grandfather." I said, "It's pretty accurate."
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, that's a whole other level, isn't it? When you get to the high tier historicals, you've reached.
Mike and I represent that remark.
Hey.
Yeah, come on.
I love it.
Resemble, right?
I'm
It was
desperate.
resemble. Yeah.
There's like the super dad in me. Well, that's what one of my mates said actually when I had my second daughter born 5 months ago, and they were like, "All right, so historicals now. You've got 2 children."
Yeah, you banged him out, Lockie. You can officially move back on.
Yeah.
I suggest Napoleonics or Ancients just to get things started, and then you'll find out there's 30 different periods you want to collect, and you're screwed.
It's a slippery slope. I'm super drawn to bolt action or flames. That's been tempting me for a long time.
I think it'd be bolt action for me. I did play flames years ago, and it's great, but I don't know.
I love 28 mil, but also one of my best mates has like 6,000 Flames of War figures, so that's kind of a weighing factor. I could just steal all his models.
Well, have you heard about this great new game coming out called 1,000 Yard Stairs?
Who would that
I'm
be?
going to need 15 figures for it though.
Pete Overton, you know Twisted, don't you, Lockie? Yeah, so he was talking to us earlier today, and he'd mentioned it in passing to me a little while ago now. He's looking at creating this really cool squad-based game where you actually progress and get skills and stuff over time.
Yeah,
and it's only getting sort of 10 figures aside sort of thing. And he's already been lobbied by the people in the chat that he has to do Pacific Theatre now as well, which would be really cool.
They jumped on and said, "We're in. Give us some Pacific, setting."
We want Pacific, etc.
Robert Treble, timely comment, says, "What are your collective thoughts on Frostgrave?"
I'm ashamed I haven't played it. That's my thought on that, because apparently it is a great system. It's easy to grab a bunch of fantasy models from any setting, even historicals, for crying out loud. You just grab a bunch of Vikings or Saxons or whatever, and apparently it's really good fun. But I haven't played it myself, unfortunately.
Yeah, we've pushed it around a bit. It's a really good system. We haven't done it. It's got an inbuilt campaign system, which we really like. We just haven't ever managed to sustain our attention long enough to actually push it all the way through.
Classic gaming problems, Mike.
Yeah. I was going to say, one of the problems with historicals, it's okay, there's lots of periods, but then, if you play Napoleonics, there's 4,000 different rule sets, and it's like trying to say, well, which one of these are we actually going to use?
I got browbeat by JP. Use our system.
None of that.
He's part of the problem.
None of that happened.
Because he's making another one.
Yeah, bloody hell.
It is. Hey, it is good though. I have to say, I'm enjoying it.
I mean, you could play Empire.
Well,
with its 500 charts.
Hey, it hasn't got as it's not as many pages as ASL. All right.
Just going to point out, an astrologer uses less charts to figure out your future than Empire uses to work out whether an infantry battalion moved 50 feet.
Them's fighting words.
And then the worst thing is when you get them confused, JP. So you get halfway through to moving 25 feet, and suddenly you could actually have a deviation based on where Saturn is. It's really confusing.
You laugh, but look, no, Empire's a great game. I've watched Mike run it, but jeez, there's a lot of charts.
It's not for the faint-hearted. It's
you've
got to have a place to leave it set up and plenty of time to play.
This ain't your kill team, JP.
No, this ain't kill team. No,
these are the arguments that prove why wargaming still isn't fully mainstream.
And then the other thing I was always terrified about was the button counters in historicals. And I was annoying the absolute bejesus out of JP a few weeks ago, being like, "Oh, but what about this variation? Is this right for the period?" He goes, "Ed, they're on campaign. Let me send you some paintings someone did years ago in one of the reference books, and you have a look at the guys on campaign dress, and there's like the pants are tattered. Someone else's his uniform is meant to be white. He's wearing like brown striped trousers because they've sourced them from the local somewhere in Spain. People's shoes are falling apart. They've got like full beards and mangy looking hair." He's like, "Yeah, most of these guys would look like this after a week on campaign." Jesus Christ. So you don't have to stress so much. Just get in there and have some fun.
I just when a button counter gets on, you say, "Oh, what? Were you there?"
Yeah, that's right.
What if he was? What if he's old enough that he was, Mike?
No.
I think you're safe from that in Napoleonics, probably.
It turns out he's a shaman. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, we found the Emperor of Mankind. It turns out he was a button counter who lived through the Napoleonic period all the way. They got rid of that law, didn't they? For 40k.
What?
Which specific emperor law?
So the Emperor of Mankind was a perpetual, an eternal, I think they were called. I can't remember.
He's still an eternal, isn't he?
He definitely still is, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Because there was that whole thing about his origins were a bunch of shamans who realized chaos was forming, so they formed together and created a single entity. I think it's cool. I like
he's
it.
Definitely, this fictional character is definitely still whatever they decided it was to sell more miniatures.
I'm surprised they haven't made him. Exactly. I was going to say, why haven't they made one? We'd buy it.
We'll see. Horus Heresy 2nd edition. I reckon it's a strong potential.
Oh, can you imagine Custodes force with him at the charge?
In the Custodes rules from Book 7 Inferno, they reference him at some point. They say like, this character can only be your warlord, or this character is your warlord unless the Emperor is present.
Yeah.
See, he's coming, people. He's coming. We've got verification.
I have a feeling that when that was originally written, it was done intentionally as like a gag by the writers, but because it became such a meme that like maybe they'll make the mini for it. Like it's like
the space. It's like what they did with Space Wolves for the longest time in Heresy. Like they go, "Oh, we're doing Space Wolves next release." No Space Wolves. Oh no, definitely doing Space Wolves next release. No Space Wolves.
And they eventually came.
Yeah, and then they showed up, and everyone's like, "Oh, they're not great. I don't like the way the fur's done." So it's like you can never please anybody. So technically, they're just as bad as historical gamers.
I do love though. There's been a lot of things in GW in particular where something started off as a gag or a little joke between friends, and now it's like a core part of the lore of 40k. Like Gazkul Thraka and Commissar Yarrick that whole thing was a battle report in the mid 90s. That they then went, hey, this is kind of cool. Let's keep the story of these guys going. You're like, oh my God, these are like, multiple iterations of models for those things have existed because two blokes thought it was pretty funny that they'd come up with a backstory.
And Gazkul Thraka's banner bearer Makari, who has the highest invulnerable save in the game, despite being a grot with a banner, because it was a joke a while ago.
Yeah, it's just great. I just love it.
With that, I'm going to head off. I'll leave you guys to the stream. Keep going. Keep painting.
Jacob. Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much, Jacob. Great to meet you, mate.
I should point out, go and check out. I'm really annoyed that my chat bots aren't working. Jacob from Conquest Creations has given us some loot into the giveaway pool.
The good away.
The good aways.
It must be good. It's a good giveaway.
So good.
Jesus, it's only 3:00.
Yeah, you're screwed, mate.
A 3D printed set of Black Riders. So
nice.
We are going to have to talk at some stage about how we're going to do these giveaways. I'm pretty sure that anyone who donates to the campaign, you can find a link in the description of this video. We'll go into major prize draws. We've got a couple of major prizes to give away, including a fully painted carnival set from Knights of Dice. Those will draw after the stream, but at some point when I can figure out why my chatbots aren't working, we will give some stuff away live on the stream. So Jacob, thanks for coming on Conquest Creations. All the links are on the Knights of Dice website to all our sponsors, so please go check them out.
Thank you for having me, Viv, and I really hope I win that personal massage from Lockie from the draw. That's you guys.
Hey, I'm locked in, buddy. It's not happening anytime soon.
It'll be nice to catch up when we can. Thanks for popping in, Jacob.
Absolutely, we'll get a game in.
All right, mate.
So,
thanks, Jacob.
So Craig in the chat here says, "Do we need to tell Lockie to stop eating the paint off his brush?"
No. No, it makes us stronger.
Yeah.
Jazz goes first.
Jazz goes on to say, "Get into bolt action, Lockie." And
I'm not painting with enamels. I'll be all right.
Hey, Lockie, do you still remember the taste of flesh wash from the late 90s? I haven't tasted it in years, and yet it is burned into my brain. That was a very particular, very strong.
I have found that Lachlan Flesh Shade is not that far from it.
In flavour and profile, the mouth feels a bit different.
Like sommelier glasses. A fruity bouquet.
Aroma. Yeah.
Ian Underwood in the chat says, "Hi everyone, Lockie and bolt action. Can't wait."
Yes.
What have I done? What have I done? Yeah. I think if I do bolt action, I don't know. I can't imagine it being like on the channel for a long time. But for me personally, that would be pretty. I would be keen. But I've got 2 kids now. I have 0 time for social gaming these days. It's brutal. It's like work kids. Yeah. So
yeah.
But as they get older and the social gaming increases, bolt action.
Yep.
MJ goes on to say, heresy is historical 40k.
Exactly, 100%, and that's why I love it.
Same as MESBG is historical fantasy.
Yeah, it's got that same vibe.
That's definitely stretching it, but I'll pay it.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. Yep.
Western Tabletop in the chat says Rangers of Shadow Deep. I think that's Rangers. I think it's spelled around the wrong way. RSOD. Rangers of Shadow Deep and Frostgrave are fantastic. Very keen to try Reality's Edge.
Oh yes, but that's good as well.
Bit of cyberpunk action. Oh shit, yeah.
That's what Scott was playing that, I believe, sort of end of 2019. He said it was just a fabulous game. And if anyone's seen the buildings that Scott painted for Knights of Dice when he was still a full-time employee, they are insanely good. Like, you put that on a table and have gangs running around trying to run away from corporations, etc. It's just awesome. You feel like you're there.
I'm gonna.
Which is why I have $600 worth of Cyberpunk terrain sitting in a box that I really should get to. But anyway,
I think we've all got a story of that in some variant.
But the great news for me is it's flat pack, so it doesn't take up much room. Thanks, Viv.
It's a thin pile of shame.
Yeah.
Just do what I do. Make Viv do it all for you.
Oh, that cracked me up so much.
That's such a fun project, that one.
I love how Viv's like, I'll do it all in 24 hours. And then like halfway through the video, I'm like, Viv, you're screwed, man. Okay, so 72 hours in. Yeah, there we go.
Well, it was one of those things that I just I couldn't help myself. I did start, as I mentioned in that video. Lucky you rang me, and I was like, I'm just going to start doing this right now. I'd had 3 hours sleep, and I was like,
which is why you probably agreed to it.
I'm could have been a contributing factor.
I'm just going to start now, and it was brutal. So I don't know why I thought I could do all of that in 24 hours. Well, I wanted to try and make it happen, but no.
What did you? What was your final count? I can't remember. It wasn't even that far off, right?
38 and a half hours.
I thought it was 38. That's still epic.
Very impressive.
It was pretty full on. It was great fun. I just want to quickly capture this. You guys talk among yourselves while I try and figure out this thing in my OBS, which should have been there, but it's no longer there. Because on that, well, here we go. As I say, talk amongst yourself, and then I just keep on talking.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Let us know when you want to start, Viv.
Yeah, talk amongst yourselves now. Shut up while I talk. Yeah, okay, thanks, Viv. Yeah.
Give us the signal when we can talk. Just go. No? Okay.
No, well, it's too late now because I've set it up. Hopefully everything works and we still have audio when we go across. Let us know in the chat if we don't have audio. I've just put up here on screen on the chat. Have I? God, I don't know what I'm doing here. No, now I'm streaming my YouTube live stream chat area. Forget about it. Go back to your discussion.
We didn't even start.
I feel so robbed of an experience. such a build-up.
Fucking hell.
It's quality content. I was trying to put up the Beyond Blue fundraising page because it is unbelievably up to $6,791.
No.
That's massive.
Yeah,
amazing. Everyone rocks.
Incredible.
That's so cool. I just did a little ping to my social page, Viv. So we may have had some new people join. Do you want to just give us a short spiel on like the whole premise of today's charity thing again for those newer viewers?
Yeah, definitely. If you're just joining us, thanks very much
how
for
to use
tuning in.
YouTube.
Yeah. Here, this is a live stream on how to figure out how to control your computer. Painting for Life. We're doing a 24-hour live stream, raising money. This time for Beyond Blue, being our first time. I very much would like to continue doing this Painting for Life, maybe perhaps twice a year, but raising money at this stage for Beyond Blue through our Painting for Life campaign to assist the wonderful work they do in providing support and assistance to people who are suffering from the effects of anxiety, depression, or suicide. And we'll be painting miniatures for as long as we can over these 24 hours. I've got my 5 hosts with me here, John Paul, JP, Ed, Topher, and Nick Thorne, hanging out with me for as long as they want. It was supposed to just be us 5 hanging out for 12 hours. But then I, 11 days ago decided to turn this into a monster. And now,
That doesn't sound like you at all, Viv.
No,
Yeah.
Why not?
He keeps going, oh, I'm really sorry I stole your idea of like turning, doing the charity thing, Ed and Rara. I'm like, you're doing all the work. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, so it's been furious. We've got a whole bunch of guests coming on the show. Hang on, let me put up a slide that I know actually works. We've got a fairly busy schedule coming on. Ryan Brickman McNaught is coming on the show later on, 4:00 to have a bit of a chat. Not only is he, well known in the Lego community, he's also a tabletop gamer.
He started 40K last year.
Yeah, during lockdown to get him through. So he's going to be coming on the show. Then we've got a whole bunch of people popping on in the evening, all the way through until 10 a.m. tomorrow, to in support of the Painting for Life campaign that we're running for supporting Beyond Blue.
I'm going to be totally honest, Viv. I will push as hard as I can, but I may conk out around 2 a.m.
Mate.
Or get asked to go because the dog will be hanging out with me and wandering back in and visiting my wife who's pregnant and then coming back out and wandering back in. And she may or may not get sick of it. I don't know. Just hazarding a guess that may be an issue.
So that's what we're doing here. That's what we're here. I can't, so many thanks to, Lockie and all the other guests that are coming on the show and have been on the show. It just makes it, a very casual and, relaxed environment just to sit down and have a chat. And which is why, we're doing, this paint-a-thon. It's one of those opportunities for us as gamers to sit down with our friends and just have a a bit of a chinwag, a chat about our games, and hopefully keep that black dog at bay a little bit.
Yeah, I have to say it's certainly the live stream format is dangerous. I'm only here till 3:30, but I'm feeling like I just want to keep painting. It's like in the middle of my workday. I'll just grab the
We're
brush,
not going
Kind of.
anywhere.
a bit of paint. Yes,
I
but
kind of
I'm
envisage-
supposed to be going to other things at 3:30. But I'm really enjoying painting these urukai.
It
I don't envisage, that Krusty special from The Simpsons, where like at the Krusty was going for 24 hours, and by the end of it, you're just sitting there and just hanging crap on anybody in his list.
Yeah.
I think about 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, Viv's sitting there like he's the only one on the stream, and he's going, "And right, you."
No, I'll have to come back at that point to bail him out, or that's exactly what'll happen, JP.
I've done a few 24-hour challenges before, but nothing that's been live streamed like this. So it's going to be an interesting experience. We'll see how we go.
Yep.
Word Tweak says, "So stoked that Lockie is here." Lisa,
Hey, Word Tweak.
Hooray!
Lisa is telling Ed to check his phone.
Oh, yeah. So, what did Lise say? She said, sorry, I did check it, Lise. She has a question for the nerd group here. Unfortunately, Jacob's left, who's also a big Lord of the Rings fan. But she is going to be painting a bedhead for one of her two kids, her eldest child. She's wondering, should she paint Helm's Deep, Erebor, the College of Winterhold, or Dragon's Reach?
Definitely one of the first two.
Yeah, I said I was thinking.
No bias.
The
Helm's Deep or Erebor? I think Helm's. Erebor is like really symmetrical, so that would look quite good as a bedhead with like the gate in the center and then the kind of facade moving down on either side. But a Helm's Deep bedhead would be pretty amazing.
Yeah. I'd have to go with Erebor simply from the fact that Erebor is inside the mountain, and as Lockie said, you get this beautiful opportunity to have like a symmetrical bedhead, but it gives you, it portrays that sense of, I'm going into, my little cave, my
That's cool.
my protected environment in the bed there. So I'd go Erebor.
Ooh, we got deep there. I like it.
I'm just nervous that people are asking us for interior design tips.
Yeah. In this area of expertise, that we're also qualified for.
Yes, it's just you need your quaffing glass again, Lockie.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Just flat flesh and a wash, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's literally what I'm doing right now. Bit of red on this berserker, and then Reichland flesh shade.
Someone asked me, how do you do your skin? And I said, well, I've got this method that I got off Angel Heraldez, and it's start with cork brown, do a wash of this, then you're going to mix this, and then you're going to mix this. And Viv went, sorry, I lost you after you didn't say flat flesh and a wash. Yeah.
Simple.
So,
well, Word Tweak says a Lord of the Rings themed bolt action army would be different.
Indeed, it would. I have actually seen someone using the bolt action rule set to run a whole bunch of Middle-earth campaigns. A mate of mine over in the UK called Odie, he uses bolt action to run this incredible Fords of Eisen campaign between the Dunlendings and Isengard and Rohan, and has like full units made up of all the Rohirrim and everything, and uses bolt action rules. Apparently it works really, really well, and it adapts quite effectively. How's the combat? Is there much melee
in bolt action? It's brutal.
In bolt action,
yeah. When you get into close combat in bolt action, it happens until one side is destroyed.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So there's no back and forward. If close combat happens, then it's a fight to the death, and you just play it out until one side is destroyed.
To the death.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What was that you were just mentioning, Lockie? Who your friend who's doing this campaign?
So that was Oti. He's got I think that's his Instagram handle. I can't remember. He has a blog. It'll be on my community Facebook page.
I'll check it out.
And he's running a Fords of Eisen campaign using bolt action. I'm pretty certain it's bolt action. Yeah, it is. And for that like sort of squad based kind of vibe. And apparently it works really well.
Oh, I'm keen to check it out. Because that's one thing that I like about bolt action is the simplicity of its rules, but Middle-earth doesn't give you that, unit size engagement.
Yeah, I mean, every game has its different strengths and stuff, and you certainly don't get that squad element.
Western Tabletop in the chat here says, Great Escape Games Iron Cross is also a fantastic World War II rule set. Might have to have a look.
This is the problem. This is what happens.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, maybe I should get into like a World War II, and then like everyone's got 58 recommendations with all these amazing games. It's like,
Well, we were talking with Brad from Cast Ice earlier this morning, about this.
About game ADHD.
Yeah, there's just so much out there. There's 50 different options for every single genre that that you can be overwhelming sometimes with choice.
yeah, because like the other one I keep hearing really positive stuff about is Chain of Command.
Yeah. Well,
Oh yeah.
that was mentioned here by Greybeard's Wargaming, and they said if you play Bolt Action, learn to play Chain of Command too.
Yeah,
QJP.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're two.
Yeah, no, I'm just like hands down probably one of the apart from advanced squad leader.
Thank you.
one of the best written World War II war games rules is Chain of Command, and that's not just because I know Richard Clark, but because it simulates what it's like to actually command a platoon in battle, and really gives you those tactical choices and decision points across the game. I can't recommend it enough. And what I like about that versus some other rules is that it's just a rule set, and then the miniatures you want to buy and play with, whether it's artisan or warlord, or you want to get some
it's like totally miniature agnostic, isn't it? You can sort of swap in whatever you like.
I like rules like that, to be honest. I kind of get a bit tired of rules that kind of lock you into
Buy this
like a miniature range. You must buy this squad, or you must. I like the idea that a rule set gives you the freedom to. It's like I like Dragon Rampant and Line Rampant. I think they're great rule sets. They're a possibility rule set, but whatever miniatures you want, grab and just play.
It's a big reason I haven't got into Star Wars Legion, for example. The idea of running around with Star Wars units is fantastic, but at the same time, I don't want to get locked into the FFG stuff because I don't think a lot of their models are actually that great. So
not only that, you can never find them because they're never in stock.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's a whole other thing.
That's so true.
So true. They specialize in trying to execute their own games. So.
That's right. Yeah.
I like that assessment. It's brutal, but it's effective.
They're a joke of a company.
Right? Disappointing because you've got to give it to them. The rules are actually really, really elegant, smart.
Dude, yeah, the Star Wars Legion rule set is probably my favorite rule set I've ever played, apart from SBG, in the last 15 years. I love it.
Wow.
It's really gorgeous. I just love the reductive design, where it's like the antithesis of a GW system where you're just picking up handfuls of dice and throwing them at each other's face. Whereas in Legion, it's much more elegant and minimalist, but you still there's enough mechanical elements that you've got breadth and diversity within the gameplay. It's good. It's a really good system. It's just appallingly managed and released.
Got to say though, there is something so visceral about taking a bucket of dice and rolling it towards your opponent's models, only for them to gasp as they
play a bit of everything. That's it. You just don't want all games to be like that.
Exactly.
I remember the Hampton guys, and again, call out to the Hampton guys. I remember a video coming out when Age of Sigmar dropped the first, either the first version or second version of this video came out.
To say they were unimpressed is an understatement, JP.
Well, it was a table, and two guys, and they rock up with buckets of dice. One had purple dice, one had white dice, and they actually billed it as a battle report, if I remember correctly.
That's
this
funny.
Round one, and dice thrown on the table. Round two,
the
dice thrown on the table.
That's great.
And then they shook hands. It was a game over. It was cute, great comedy. Absolutely great comedy.
That's brilliant.
I think a lot of rules these days, and that's why I like Chain of Command or the two Pat Lardy stable of rules, is it allows you as the painter and gamer to go and find the models that kind of talk to your aesthetic or your style. Whereas sometimes you get locked in, and I don't know. And I think that you think about all the RG and barging that happens sometimes when Games Workshop release a model for SPG or for Warhammer, and there's these diverse ranges of opinions about I really like it or I hate it or that looks silly, or people get kind of locked into it because there's this idea that I can only play the game with those miniatures.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit disappointing sometimes. I like it when people go, I'm just going to play with anything. I'm just going to use the rules.
Just coming back to the chat, Western Tabletop said, I mentioned before, Great Escape Games has a rule set called Iron Cross, but they mentioned in the comment as well that you can play it with bolt action minis too. There's I still think that there's this, correlation between miniature ranges and rule sets. That
Well, I found the Black Powder rule book was really refreshing, because they emphasized really early on that, hey, we make stuff, but so do all these other great people. And that was actually really refreshing to see that, because normally, as you said, it's just these are the models you will buy and that is all, and please, if you even think about using anyone else, we will ban you from the tournaments.
Well, I'm constantly reminded, and I've mentioned this so many times. Ed and the other guys here would be familiar with this story. But when I ran my Battle Bunker shop in Northcote here in Victoria, I had one little kid come in and he wanted to buy some static grass, and I was sold out of Games Workshop. The little tubs, tiny little tubs of static grass that Games Workshop sold at the time.
I haven't heard this one.
No, you haven't. I've only told it 150 times.
I genuinely have not heard this one. Sorry, I'm not taking the piss.
Right.
I've not heard.
It's just hard to assume because it seems to be your default
This
stuff.
will be the one time in the stream when Ed is not taking the piss.
Yeah.
But he came in looking for some static grass, and I said I don't have any. I've got these ones from Woodland Scenics, and it's in a much bigger container, and it's cheaper. And he was like,
and it's better.
Yeah, he was like, I really want the Games Workshop one. And I was like, I don't have any in stock. I can order it in. And I said, why don't you want to use this one? It's a better, it's a better value product. And he said to me, I'm not sure if Games Workshop will allow me to play with my toys in their store if I use, someone else's static grass. And I was like, well, if that's not, mind manipulation and brainwashing, then I don't know what is. But he was so fearful that he couldn't use a different product, on his figures. And it's interesting to see that same thing happening here in games when we're talking about, certainly from a historical perspective, because it's obviously much easier to understand that you can use your World War II miniatures for a whole bunch of different sorts of games. And there's no reason why you just need to play one game. Chain of Command has some wonderful, elements in it that, aren't present in other games, and which is what makes it fun and interesting. Whereas, Bolt Action has, elements of their game that, are different than others. It's just an interesting concept.
But I think it comes down to how gamers have been made to think. You think that I've got to get this system and therefore these miniatures, like the bolt action stuff comes with, army boxes and that sort of stuff. So people who maybe haven't been in the broader part of the hobby, you just go like, oh, well, I've got these builds, therefore that's the thing that I have to buy to go along with it.
Yeah. Just going to quickly jump back into the chat because I finally caught up to Lisa's message, Ed, where she did post that question in the chat, not miniature related, making my son a bedhead. And, that got called out because I read out the message about her sending you a message about it. And my chat just refreshed, and there's hundreds of comments here. I'm 20 minutes behind the chat, like I was this morning. I'll quickly zip through it. The Real Disco Boy, the Real Disco Boy says, we don't call them piles of shame anymore. We must have been talking about that at some stage. He said...
Yeah, that was when I first got on about an hour ago.
Oh, Jesus. He said they are future victories. Yeah, I don't like that term.
Wow, that's some good wordsmithing right there.
Well, I don't like that term pile of shame. I try not to use it. I try not to say it. It's a pile of opportunities. It's a pile of possibilities, and
you can't die until you've painted all your miniatures.
Yeah, that's right. It's a very dangerous thing to get towards the bottom of the pile.
That's actually that's the secret to eternal life. You just always have an unpainted pile.
Yeah.
Can someone explain the whole that principle to my wife when I
yeah.
You bought another starter box for Titanicus? Look, honey, it's okay. I'm painting it for someone else again. That's usually what you roll out, isn't it?
She wasn't impressed by my explanation that I needed a third War Master because I have 2 kids.
I like it. That's solid.
Western Tabletop in the chat says refresh it. It's over 6.8. Yeah, I'm 20 minutes behind here in this chat.
Whoa, almost hit 7K. That's incredible.
Nathan Shutterworks says this is such a Viv moment when I'm trying to, show the Found Racing page, but I end up streaming the YouTube, stream homepage thing. Morning all from Rudia McKenzie. No, that's got a no. I butchered that name. Ruaridh. What an interesting name. Lots of votes in here for Airball.
Yep. I think you got your answer, Lise. It's going to be Airball.
Bedhead.
But can you actually run a poll? That might be a nice thing to run all day.
Don't try to ask me to. Oh, I can create a poll. Oh, look, we quarters.
Come on, do it.
Can you make polls in the YouTube chat?
Yeah. Well,
is that through OBS or natively? That's awesome.
Well, let me go back to the page that I was supposed to stream, and maybe we'll end up. You can have a look. Actually, no, I don't know how to do that. I'm going to end up crazy. Shut up, Ed. Yeah, there's a button in the YouTube in your streaming page on YouTube where it shows you your analytics and the stream health and all that sort of stuff. Underneath the live chat there's a button that says create a poll.
Wow. How do I not know this? That's highly embarrassing.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's put it in there. Bedhead. What should it be? And we'll
Helm's Deep or Airball. Let's make a third.
There were the third Lord of the Rings one.
Yeah.
There were two other ones. Lise also had College of Winterhold or Dragon's Reach.
Yeah.
Yep. Some solid
Skyrimming.
Airball and college.
We need a Viv's choice. Option 5. Viv's choice.
Nobody rag on me about spelling. All right, it's not my strong point.
College of Winterhold.
Winterhold. And what was the last one?
Dragon's Reach.
Dragon's Reach.
Yeah.
Dragon's Reach. All right. There we go. Ask the community. That'll take me 20 minutes or 30 minutes to get to.
Oh, Toph's airbrushing. Goodness gracious.
Got a question for the group, for the ones that kicked off at 10 a.m. this morning. How are we travelling with the actual thing that we're here to do, which is paint miniatures?
So, shit, it's already 3:30.
Yeah, we've been going for a while now.
We have. It's over 5 hours. It is time for a check-in.
Yeah.
To let you know, JP, I decided I'd do 12 in one batch because I'm an idiot. And I've done.
I told you do 6. But,
I know. I'm sorry.
That's not batch painting. Yeah, this is batch painting.
Yeah. I know, Mike. Honestly, though, I'm about 90% done. I just need to do the skin and then the medals and then the eyes. Yes, I'm doing the eyes because I'm a sadist. Anyway.
Right,
or masochist, rather.
A masochist. Okay. Cool. So you got 12 done. Is that what you're saying?
Yep. Only 12, and I'm
only 12.
An hour and a half behind.
No, only 12. I only got 6 done.
Well, I've just done a quick count. I've done the first 2 layers of dry brushing on 80 Minister Earth Warriors.
I'm not too sure how everybody can see that on the stream, but here's a bit of a close up of these Prussian Silesian lands.
Looking nice. Hang on, if I join from my phone.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, that looks good. I'm seeing the close up now.
Oh wow,
very nice.
Very good.
I've been here for 55 minutes and I finished 6 models. So.
Oh, geez, that's all right. That's pretty good.
Get working.
Damn.
They were, of course, 88% finished when I started, but that's not a relevant point.
Getting there on the way, Joe.
Yep. So I've got about 80 World War II 20mm Germans on the go here, and I've done helmets and straps on about 50 of them.
All right. Callum Pullybank in the chat says here, when painting, remember the acronym BDSM. Base coat, dry brush, shade, and more.
That's nice.
A couple of people saying that Chain of Kind is a good rule set. Somebody asked you, Lockie, why do you lick your brush? Mikhail Zerwinski?
It's just the cleanest way to keep the point. I'm just refreshing the point on the brush every single time.
I do the same, mate. It's you're not alone on this.
No, it's there are whole lessons on the best way to do it. It's a very mainstream thing. I always blows my mind. People are like, why are you licking your brush? Everybody does it, right? Leave me alone.
And
brush licker.
Every 6 months, I have to go get the acrylic removed from my esophagus, but it's okay.
I'm washing it out first, and then so it's only like diluted paint water that's going down the esophageal tract.
paint and water also makes a good wash for flesh tones. Titan Wargaming says it helps you set the tip of the brush faster than doing it by hand. And the paint is just so damn tasty.
It is good. I wouldn't do it with enamels or oils, though, right? Isn't some famous artist, was it Van Gogh or Rembrandt? I think it might have been Van Gogh, went crazy from sucking on all of the oils or terps or something.
I'm fairly sure he
the reason you put
that
oil or lead.
Oh, there you go. That might be what I'm remembering.
I was going to say, don't lie. The reason you stopped using the M&S paint or from Ballarat is because it tasted so good, and you're worried that you have to eat it. Right?
Yeah. I didn't trust my self-control.
That's right.
Mikkel asks, in relation to our discussion before about rule sets, he said, what are they, systems or rule sets or what? So the chain of command and bolt action, two different rule sets for World War II gaming. And Travis goes on to say, there's so much out there now. I'm starting Inaugural World of Twilight thanks to Viv doing some videos. I must get back to doing that. There's so many little games out there, it's crazy. World Tweak says the pre-game patrol in Chain of Command, setting up battle lines, deployment jump off points is great. It's like I've heard it described. I haven't played it, but I've heard it described as like a little a mini pre-game before the game.
Yeah, I really like stuff that has like kind of tries to capture that fog of war element in deployment or in early game. A mate of mine was just showing me a sort of samurai themed fantasy game that's being released at some point this year that isn't out yet, and they sort of had like a similar fog of war element. I think that's a really kind of cool aspect to bring to the table. I remember that when we used to play this massive Osgiliath campaign on about 100 square foot board, just between me and my best mate, and Mordor on one side, Gondor on one side, with the river through the middle. And we always used to play the start of every game for the first hour with a sheet through the middle of the table, so we couldn't see what each other was doing to represent the fog in the way of the river. And then we'd adjust the sheet's position as people moved across the bridges and could see the other side. And we, obviously, when two best mates, it's very easy to run the honesty system because you don't need to see your opponent. Well, it doesn't quite work in major wargaming, but it was fun.
It's one of those things that's just not represented in many games, obviously, because it's very, very difficult to do unless you're carrying sheets around and masking off part of the table
and trusting your opponent that you meet at the game shop.
It's how do you implement that fog of war whilst you have this god's eye view of everything that's happening?
The omnipotent presence above the battlefield. Yeah,
exactly.
I think the other thing that's great about it is we play on like a rectangle table, and so it can, a lot of games are I'll pick my end of the table, you pick your side of the table, and that's it. Whereas the patrol phase reshapes the battlefield so that the table is no longer just constrained by the idea of it being in a box or a square or a rectangle. I could be standing over this side of the table, but my deployment point suddenly ends up somewhere over your side of the table, and so the entire game is different, even though you might play the same scenario. There's a great YouTuber called Tabletop CP, and he does a lot of sharp practice and chain of command battle reports, and he'll play the same scenario using bolt action. He did this great one thing where he did bolt action one day, same World War II scenario, and then played chain of command the following day, and the game was completely different, even though the table was the same. And I like that. That's what kind of, I think one of the great things about the patrol phase is the game will be different, even though you could use the same setup, which gives you replayability, which sometimes games don't have.
Yeah, that was always our plan, was to do an Armada game with then like X-Wing games to represent the fighting, and then have the ships land on the planet and move to Legion, or like play it like Star Wars Battlefront 2, where when fighters land inside the enemy hangars, you switch to a Legion map that's the hangar inside the ship. Yeah. No. Yeah, just this conversation about fog of war has just given me this really cool idea. It'd be really fun to do like a battle report where your two generals can't see the board, and they have proxies who move the models for them, and then all of the like squad leaders of each squad are like rigged up with tiny lipstick cameras that send a feed back to HQ, and you can only like issue orders based on the information that you're seeing from like the model's eye point of view. So like, you know, terrain would actually get in the way of line of sight. There'd be like no top down view. That would be so fun. Yeah. Oh, that's really cool.
Well, Mike Park, the Peninsula Praetorians, have done a few of those things over their time. Mike, yeah.
So
You probably talk about that.
I just had to help my missus for a minute, so I've just come in at the tail end of what sounded like my favourite conversation. We've done a bunch of. I've got access to a gymnasium-sized space at school, and so we've run a bunch of big multiplayer games. Like we ran a Flames of War game with. I think we had 16 players aside. The table was, 14 meters long.
That's awesome.
Oh, yes.
And the premise was everybody bought a base force, and then we pulled our club collection for all the reinforcements. So basically, there's this set of tables behind the table which had like all of the German tank platoons and specialist platoons, and the Allies had the same. And so the overall commander was constantly being asked by people, "Oh, I need some reinforcements. I need some artillery."
Requisition.
Or whatever. So, and once you took it out of the reserve and put it on the table, that was it.
That was it. It must have looked impressive as well to look at the depot and just got this bloody massive legion of tanks lined up.
Yeah, it was kind of good. We haven't done one of those hit with the removed generals, but that's kind of the thing that we've been spitballing in terms of, like, at the moment in our remote space we're using Vassal, which is that online board game sort of thing, and we're using Discord, so we've got commanders in different, like the two sides are in different rooms, but the idea of then scaling that up so is you have your army commander, but then you have all the subordinate commanders in separate spaces, and the only way they can communicate is in writing. And so you've got this whole, everybody can see the map and everybody's got a rough idea of what's going on, but the actual action is then changing, and there's all this delay, and sort of, you get a written order that doesn't make sense based on what you now see in front of you. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Oldest son?
I feel so strangely invested in this poll. I must know. I must see the bedhead upon completion.
Yeah, I'll try and remember, Lockie. I'll send it through.
Send me a photo.
Yeah, once Lisa's done it, or she can send it herself if you're there, Lisa.
Thanks for the heads up about my audio to Nicholas, who sent me a private message on Facebook. I had my microphone switched onto the Google Meet, but I'd muted it out to the rest of the world. So I don't know when I turned it down, but there's probably going to be down here in the chat a whole bunch of questions. Oh, yeah, Viv is muted. Can't hear Viv. What happened to Viv? Viv's having a Viv moment. Viv is...
That's nice, isn't it?
Viv is mute. Can't hear Viv.
Don't you love becoming a verb, Viv?
No audio, Viv. Oh, Jesus. I've got to scroll through this chat faster. It just, Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you're getting some fantastic traction. Heaps of people
sorry about
watching.
It
Oh, I got
is-
to vote. I'm voting for. I'm going to go Helm's Deep. All right, there we go.
Oh, you've okay.
Oh, it's neck and neck at the moment. Erebor's just coming in first.
Oh, it's close. It is close. Yeah, it's great. It's wonderful to see so many people tuning in. Hopefully, there's some people out there painting along as we, work through our miniatures as well. All to
The Viv moment was from Nathan Shuttleworth. Oh, nice, cheeky bastard.
Yeah, he mentioned something before. Yeah, he mentioned that I was having a Viv moment when I was trying to stream the Painting for Life campaign page on Blue on Blue, but ended up, streaming the YouTube homepage. So we've got a couple more minutes.
All right, gentlemen, I'm almost out of here and off to return to the boring grind of work. I've got one more dude to finish, get this skin tone done, and then I'll be off.
Thanks, Lockie, for joining us. It's been great to have you here and have a bit of a chat.
But I've done work here. Look at this. I've got like 12 Urukai who've had all of their flesh tone base coated, highlighted, washed, and I've done all the edge highlighting on 12 armor sets of Urukai.
Oh man,
amazing!
That's an amazing effort. Christian Halverson here in the chat said he turned up at 12:30, and since then he's painted 12 Russian musketeers, 6 French voltigeurs. Finish the word. Voltigeurs, and 6 Spanish partisans. Wow, nice work.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Epic 40k says Travis had a good pre-game setup where you would draw a map and mark your deployment. That way you didn't have to, you didn't know how the opponent was deploying.
I have never played any Epic. Do any of you guys have experience with Epic?
Yeah, it was a great system.
Only
very, very intuitive and simple in terms of the way it used blast markers, and, the way you tracked, unit morale and stuff like that. Great system.
Yeah, because that would have been Priestley, wouldn't it? It was like 94, 95 first iteration.
It was either Jervis Johnson or Priestley. I don't think everything was written by Priestley. I think Jervis Johnson had a bit to do with it as well, if my recollection is correct. I'm sure people on the stream will more than eagerly correct that assertion.
Yeah.
Aaron H says he's painting some 28mm pigs for an objective marker.
Cool.
Love it.
All right. I'm going to switch the poll off in 30 seconds. And we'll have a look and see where the results ended.
Vote now.
Right now, there's a lot of love for Lord of the Rings and not much for Skyrim.
Guilty as charged.
Yep, likewise. Barely ever played Skyrim.
It's one of those games that
shooting people in the face in Counter-Strike. Anyway.
Once a year, I'll come back to Skyrim and go, I'm going to play this to the end.
Never happens.
And I'm just going to do the quest line. But I started playing it again earlier this year, and I'm still being summoned to talk to the Greybeards, and yet I'm killing dragons with 4 shots of my bow.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? When you don't do the main quest at the right time, getting lectured. It's like, bro.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'm switching off the poll. I'm going to end that poll right now, and we'll see if it worked. All right, don't know what happened to the results of that poll. I clicked the end poll button, and they've gone. So I guess we'll find out, at some stage.
Monday.
That was exciting and interesting. Erebor was the leader, by the way, before that quickly disappeared off screen. If anyone can still see. Oh, it's in the chat! Bedhead, what should it be? Helm's Deep, 46.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Oh, it just tipped over the top. 46% for Helm's Deep.
Helm's Deep, unite! Yes!
43 for Erebor, 6 for the College of Winterhold, and yes, I know college is spelt incorrectly, and Dragon's Reach.
Is it? Have you spelt it the Collage of Winterhold? Or?
I did. I spelled Collage of Winterhold.
That would have been interesting in and of itself. Just different screenshots from the game. I'll see myself out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the Collage of Winterhold. That sounds even better.
So just looking at the time, that means she's got 15 hours left to paint it.
Yeah, Lisa, you're gonna do it now. Look, if you want to help her manage her 2 young boys, you go for it. Bash is only 2, so.
All right.
Good luck with that.
Skin tone done. One last set of armor.
And a wash. Craig Titterton says there was a guy a few years back who ran World Crossfire Day, another World War II set of rules, connected games that were ran around the globe with commanders directing the lower command to execute their battles. Then scenarios would spill over effects into other battles with reinforcements being delayed, destroyed, etc.
Very cool.
Massive effort from him, but amazing to review. That would have been amazing.
Do you remember when 40k Apocalypse came out, Ed?
Yep.
We were phoning in artillery strikes to other stores.
Yep.
And
That was great.
that was
It was
great
literally
fun.
like someone,
Just
someone had
completely blind. Like, oh, I'm gonna drop artillery on 6 foot from the left to 3 foot from the right.
Amazing.
some
That
dude's
was
just
great.
deployed his brand new painted, Imperial Fist Force. Bang! Absolutely decimated. And then on launch
Oh,
day, we put all the tables together, and there was this kid that rocked up, and his dad had some armor cast Titans from the 90s. The crowning glory was this enormous. Was it a Reaver or was it a Warhound? I think it was only a
I was
Warhound.
at Macrovat, so I don't.
Oh, yeah, aw,
I didn't
yeah,
see.
you were. So sad.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry. We got split up because we were having too much fun. Like
Is
the
that
naughty
excuse
kids.
they give you, was it?
Oh yeah, something like that. Anyway, basically this kid was like almost showboating that he got to play with the Titan, and he was the bee's knees of this game, and everyone cracked it and just targeted it first and just shot the absolute bejesus out of it, and so it exploded on the first turn. He'd only got to move it once, fired some of his guns, and then suddenly it's going critical. And I said, mate, before you get really disheartened about this, can you just roll these 3 dice for me? Okay, sure. He rolled a 17, which becomes the radius of the explosion. And then I can't remember what the strength was, but basically there was an enormous hole in the center of the board where the Titan has literally taken the entire center of the board out. And the look on the kid's face when he realized he did more damage in death than he did in life, he was over the moon.
That's awesome.
That was one of my favorite moments, besides the story about Pippin, which I think you missed, Lockie. But
I did miss. I did
and
like
you're
the
away.
His aneurysm. Best
Yeah, so-
story, my favourite story ever. That one.
Yeah, he always died when we played the Mines of Moria. When they're running over the things. Like he used to fall in holes. He got shot by goblins, etc.
Yeah, he dies all the time.
Yeah, and he lived. One game he lived, and we gave a die to this 10-year-old boy who's never played Lord of the Rings before and said, "You need to roll this for me. If you roll a 1, Pippin suffers a fatal aneurysm and dies on the spot." And he rolled a 1, and we had this group of 10 and 12-year-olds cheering that Pippin's had an aneurysm, with their parents looking on going, "What are we doing here?" It's great.
Oh, that's gold. Oh.
We're talking stories about things that die immediately because somebody's really proud of it. A couple of years back, and Mike, you probably remember this, CanCon, we were playing African Imaginations at CanCon. Yep. And it's the final day. We've been playing Chain of Command Moderns, which is the club did a variation on it. On the final day, one of the guys on the opposing side had bought a huge IS-3 tank, like one of these 156 scale IS-3s, and the night before had painted it at the hotel, got somebody else to help him paint it up. Following day, first turn of the game, all the defenders, which I was on, got a chain of command dice to be able to call in artillery strikes and off-table airstrikes.
Oh no!
And poor Scott would be going, I've got this huge tank. It's going to cause, all this.
You're all screwed. I've learn't from yesterday.
Phase turn 1, I rock up. And I step
Too much trash talking.
Too much trash talking. Yeah, so much. Barrack Wargame is known for trash talking. So
just a
my
bit.
Turn, I grabbed the chain of command dice and I walked around to the side of the table, stood next to him, said, "Hey Scott, how you going?" He said, "Yeah, good. I'm just going to drop an artillery strike on your tank. I'll just roll the dice here so you can see it." And 2 minutes later, the tank's gone. Scott's like, "I'm out. See you later. Thanks for playing." I said, "No, it's all good."
Crucial.
Well, he was going to. Otherwise, I was going to have this IS-3 bearing down on us, and just blowing everything up left, right, and center.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
should
love
not
Talk shit, get hit.
Seconds either. Yeah,
By artillery.
Oh, that needs to be. Yep. Okay, that's
And
going
on that
in
note,
there.
I think I'll head out.
Thanks, Lockie, so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Really appreciate
Good luck
you
with
hanging out.
the rest of the stretch. Good
Thanks,
luck, Viv. I hope you don't melt in the remaining 17 hours or whatever it is.
Don't remind me. It's going to be brutal.
In a year's time, we're going to be telling the story about Viv's aneurysm.
Yeah, that's right. New nickname for Viv, Mr. Pippin.
He'll go full of poo. After 36 hours, I thought I was a hummingbird.
All right, see you later, fellas. Good luck.
See you, Lockie.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you,
mate.
Lucky.